That's peanut butter?
Yeah.
I was telling y'all better get a shot of peanut
I
butter.
know the peanut butter is God and His blessing. Oh my God, I love to see you. Hey, I was gonna send you an email, but I'll talk to you afterwards about this connection for pasta. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure
But I just need it so I can get, my students about answers and then they send the finals next week. So I gotta try to get all this stuff in.
I mean, well, they got one thing about
Well, yeah, but I put that back seat down and I just, I mean, so sometimes I always.
No. Nothing here.
Okay, thank you so much.
We have some forms coming around. We have some index cards for questions.
How you doing?
That's your looking at me. You borrow one of your pens? Look, I got smart today. I got a copy. Look, I came with my own and my notepad just so I can start with my notes. Oh, hard. Yeah, I know how to. Oh, wait, I'm gonna. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Oh, do you?
You know, I don't usually have real pens.
Here, we take red.
Because I have the electronic pens.
Oh, yeah.
For my tablet, yeah. Right. How are you? Well, thank you.
You're fine. I appreciate you. I'm glad I know. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. So we have one more. Okay, okay.
Right.
Okay, no problem.
I'm the first one. Like, not even on purpose, so my brain will capture
Yes.
They won't be on there. Yes.
I'm gonna say that, and I'm about to make time, because you said you were. Leslie,
Leslie, she's at the back of the room, but she's pretty sure she'll come back.
Good afternoon, Moreno Valley College. For those of you virtual, thank you for your patience. Those in the audience live, thank you for your patience. As we're all set up, please find a seat. Each of you should have a bio form and an index card and a pen. So that index card is to write your questions down that you have. And the bio sheet is for you to provide me. All right, is. Have I stalled long enough? Okay. Good afternoon, Moreno Valley College. I am Monica Green, the Norco College president, and it's been a pleasure serving as the chair for the Moreno Valley College President Search Committee. In winter, Riverside Community College District Chancellor Dr. Waldov Isak announced the beginning of a search to identify the next president of Moreno Valley College. The district selected the Association of Community College Trustees, or ACCT, to assist with the presidential search process. There are plenty of seats up front here. ACCT has conducted over 750 community college searches and brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our process. ACCT's mission is to strengthen community college governance through education and advocacy. Dr. Bradley Ebersole serves as our ACCT search consultant and has assisted the chancellor and college community throughout this important process. At the beginning of the spring semester, there were 2 one-hour public forums or listening sessions and a student virtual survey that added in the development of the presidential profile. In early March 2025, the national search for NBC's next president commenced. On April 15, 2025, ACCT delivered a robust and diverse candidate pool. A special note of thanks to our 15 search committee members representing faculty, classified professionals, confidential, and management. who selected qualified candidates to interview over a period of 2 days. This amazing dedicated group of search committee members selected 3 highly qualified leaders. Thank you for attending today's second of 3 open forums this week. This open forum is live streamed in a view-only platform. It is now time to turn the facilitation of this open forum over to Graciela Carangella, the director, our director of Employee and Labor Relations and College Support Services, who will introduce today's finalists, review the open forum ground rules, and moderate the open forum. Give it up for Graciela.
Thank you, Dr. Green, President of Norfolk College. How's everybody doing today? I am so excited to see a full house here. I know that it's a really busy time with commencement coming up and there's a lot happening on the campus, but I just want to let you know that we absolutely appreciate everybody's time. So thank you for being here and being part of this very important search today. Okay, so we are delighted to have Dr. Tia Robinson Cooper join us today for the Presidential Public Forum. Before we formally welcome Dr. Tia Cooper Robinson to Moreno Valley College, let me take a minute to review the ground rules for the public forums. So we'll start off by asking the candidate to provide brief opening remarks, roughly about 3 to 4 minutes. We do have 2 general questions that we have prepared just to facilitate the session while everyone's filling out questions that you might potentially want to ask the candidate. So if you would like to ask a question, please write your question on the note card and one of the room facilitators will bring it up to the stage. 5 minutes before the end of the session, we'll ask Dr. Tia Robinson Cooper to provide some brief closing remarks in support of her candidacy. When you entered the room, a public comment forum document was also given to you. We ask if you could please complete it before you leave the room today and hand it to any of those assisting with the event today. These forms will be placed in a sealed confidential envelope and they'll be delivered directly to our Chancellor, Dr. Isak, so he may take all of your comments into consideration when making a final decision today. Unfortunately, we're not able to accept any forms after today's forum, so please ensure that you submit them promptly at the conclusion of today. We thank all of you and let us go ahead and get started. So our first candidate, Dr. Tia Robinson Cooper, it is our pleasure to invite you up here to provide a brief opening statement.
Everyone. Oh my goodness. Can I take this off? I just really wish I could move this out the way. Wow, it is an absolute pleasure and honor to be here before you this afternoon. I'm so appreciative of the work of the search committee and of Dr. Green's leadership in leading the search. I come before you as a leader that has had an opportunity to serve across multiple states in various roles. I think the fact that I've served in California and Minnesota, Missouri, Indiana, and Illinois is a very unique component to my strength and the skills and abilities that I bring to the role of the presidency. Let me tell you why. One of the things that's unique is that throughout my experiences, I have been able to lead academic affairs, student affairs, and college operations. That leadership has been grounded in my ability to start my career as a practitioner in student affairs, where I worked in TRIO programs, I worked in upper bound programs, I served as an academic advisor, worked in disability services, career services, and recruitment and admissions before moving into a faculty role that delivered a level of passion as I began teaching in developmental education. And what was so significant about my first teaching appointment is that it was very near and dear to my heart because I entered and I stand before you as a community college student and graduate that started my higher education career in developmental education. entered into college underprepared, entered into college as a single mom that navigated raising 3 children throughout my entire higher education trajectory. But what was most unique is that I benefited from faculty and staff. I benefited from wraparound services and tutoring and resources and those things that we now know are considered intrusive advising, those things that we now know are wraparound services, benefited me and helped me navigate some of the same challenges that our students are facing today around food insecurity and homelessness, transportation and childcare and mental health. Those were all components that have come together to develop me as the leader and the advocate for community colleges, the mission of community colleges, but more importantly, my commitment to advancing student access, student success, diversity, equity, and inclusion that prioritizes removing historical barriers that our students experience, as well as building rich and robust academic programming and workforce development partnerships. So I come before you as someone that has been able to deliver results as a servant leader, as a visible leader, and as an equity-minded leader that is drawn to the mission and the vision and the work that is happening here at MVC, and is excited about the opportunity to dialogue with you and to talk a little bit more about why I believe my background is of great alignment with the work that you're doing and can benefit the long-term trajectory of the college. Thank you.
We'll see right there. You get to stay in the spotlight. Okay, so we are going to be sharing a mic because we have other events happening today as well. So we do have the first question that we want to ask you. And the first question is, based on what you know about Moreno Valley College at this point in time, what will be your priorities during your first year as our next president? And I'm always more than happy to restate any questions.
My remarkable wants to cooperate. Okay, maybe it'll catch up with me in a moment. So based on what I know, your question was around my vision. Yes. So based on what it is that I already know about the college.
Priorities.
My vision for the college would be to continue to increase and advance enrollment, creating opportunities of access, not just for our traditional students, but also for our non-traditional students, our adult students and our veterans and our working students. Want to be able to bolster and continue to grow our enrollment across diverse populations. The other component of my vision is grounded in equity and inclusion. As I said earlier, I've had an opportunity to advance and share a commitment around DEI and removing barriers for students. So from an equity lens, wanting to make sure that we have holistic programming and student support services that not just meets the needs of our students, but meet our students at their needs would be important to me and part of my vision. The other component is around community engagement and workforce development. I've had an opportunity now across 5 states to build academic and workforce programs that have aligned with the needs of our region in areas such as manufacturing, health sciences, cybersecurity, information technology, and automation, to name a few. And so I would want to continue to build out robust partnerships that align with the needs of our workforce so that we can ensure that our students are leaving our doors career ready and entering into employment opportunities. The other component of my vision would really be able to create a culture that lies within what I call my 4 C's, a culture around communication and collaboration, a culture that prioritizes consultation, but more importantly, a culture that prioritizes civility and care. Okay, that was 5. I kind of keep adding to these C's, but ensuring that the culture really sets the tone in not just how we do our work, but how we engage with our students, how we engage with each other as a college community, but more importantly, how we're viewed in the community is also very important. So those 5 areas would be my vision. My priorities would be to focus on learning and understanding the college community. It would be able to focus on and prioritizing creating opportunities to dialogue so that I can listen, so that I can learn, so that I can hear from you, so that I can hear what your expectations are and where I would be most needed to be able to help you in your work and in your roles as you continue to do the work across the college. One of the things that is clear is that there's a lot of work that has happened. There's a lot of planning that has happened. One of your planning documents, strategic planning documents, is only about like 596 pages, right? Um, and I read every page of it. And so what's exciting to me is that I've had an opportunity to also lead strategic planning at 3 institutions. And so being able to really dig into the strategies, the KPIs, and helping the organization set those goals for those next 3 to 5 years based on what has already happened is also a priority, and it's also something that I would enjoy. Thank you.
Do you want me to just leave it up here? It's fine. However, I'm fine however you'd like. Okay, you ready for our next question?
Sure I am.
So you answered some of this, but just elaborating or expanding a bit on what you just mentioned. Our next question is, in your view, what is Moreno Valley College doing exceptionally well when compared to other colleges in the surrounding area? And how or what would you add on those strengths in ways that help our college truly stand out from others?
Can you repeat that question?
Absolutely. In your view, what is Moreno Valley College doing exceptionally well when compared to other colleges in the surrounding areas? And what or how would you add on those strengths in ways that help our college truly stand out from others?
I believe that I can honestly say that when I think about what the college is doing well, my landscape is not just in comparison to other colleges, but it also extends from a broader national landscape. And one of the things that stood out for me was the college's ability and commitment to serve students. It was the evidence of what you say that you're going to do in all of your planning. It was the evidence of the education, the empowerment, the equity, and the service that is grounded within your mission that I was able to see evidence of that in your strategic plan, on your website, in the news, as I searched to see what the narrative is in the news, and as I talked to some of my colleagues across the state, as I looked to see where the strengths of the college is. And so I would say that that commitment to serving students and that unapologetic, intentional commitment to doing so is something that stands out, that the college is doing well. How do I add to that? I come to you with someone with an equity lens. I come to you with someone that has been able to move student success forward, that has been able to build innovative partnerships. And so my role as your president in continuing to advance that is to be a champion for the work. It is to be in the community sharing the great work. It is to build and expand new partnerships. It is to ensure that we have holistic student support services. It is to work to raise dollars to expand resources and create new opportunities for our students. And so as I think about the totality of some of the accomplishments that I've had an opportunity to do many of those things in many ways, but I do think that there's some value add with my lens of comparison and trial and error that has also happened in other settings that can be very valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's discuss our Ben Clark Training Center. So the question is, the Ben Clark Public Safety Training Center is responsible for 27% of Moreno Valley College's FTEs. So this is a two-part question. The first part is, as you researched Moreno Valley College, what did you learn about the Ben Clark Training Center? And as president, how do you see your role as it relates to curriculum being offered in the basic and in-service training at the Ben Clark Training Center? We'll give you a moment for some water.
I know there's some EMTs in here somewhere, so if I happen to pass out, right, somebody will help a sister out. Right? Thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about my research in the Ben Clark Training Center. So I'm doing my research, and of course, the training center comes up. And I look at the rich partnerships that exist between all of the key stakeholders. The ability to bring EMS, EMT, paramedic, law enforcement, correct, and all of these areas all up under one roof, and to be able to train them in a way that is fueling the workforce was very exciting to me. It was so exciting that I went to the training center yesterday. No, for real. No, seriously, I went to the training center yesterday. I came in a day early and I went into the training center. And so I wanted to give special thanks to the dean that gave me a tour, because what I wanted to see and what I shared with the dean and the faculty that I had an opportunity to meet is that throughout my career in 5 states, I have led each and every one of those programs. So as a provost and as a dean, I provided oversight to each of those programs. And I've had those partnerships. I've built partnerships with the Department of Corrections, with the probation department, with sheriff departments, with the county, in order to create pathways, right? With the fire departments to create those pathways. But what I had yet to see was a partnership that was all coming together under one roof. So I needed to go see it for myself. And so what I learned is about how rich and how valuable and how proud everyone is that is in that building. And what I learned is that it is a partnership that can be built upon, and that as rich as the partnership is that there's opportunities to continue to do more. So I was excited when I learned that they're in the process of building and launching a baccalaureate program. I wanted to go and I wanted to see the site for the new building that is going to be realized out of your Measure CC dollars. And I was excited about the baccalaureate track because that's something that's very interesting to me. And that as your president, I would want to have more conversation and encourage and seek more opportunities for us to expand our course offerings by offering more baccalaureate degrees. And so my role as the president would be to continue to be excited. I mean, first of all, I'm here as a candidate, and I'm excited. And I'm just so glad that the dean, when I told him, I said, well, if I'm the president, I come out here, do I have a space where I can work? And so I'm glad that he agreed to share his office and to share his space with me. So there's already a level of excitement. What I didn't see is I didn't see the simulators. I didn't get to see like what's really making it all happen. And so my energy around that is that I started my career early before I moved into higher education, is I worked in community corrections. And so I worked and I was a director of a halfway house for ex-offenders, which allowed me to work very closely with the Department of Corrections and law enforcement and the probation departments. Then I moved into a whole nother career with the Department of Child Protective Services, where I was a crisis counselor. And so I went into the homes with law enforcement when children unfortunately had to be removed, and had an office at our police stations across 5 different counties. My husband first training was a correctional officer. And so I'm drawn to some of those programs. And as president, I will continue to support that curriculum. I will continue to support that work. And I look forward to partnering with the leadership and with the faculty to see how I can be a benefit to expand the bold and robust vision of the dean and of the faculty that's providing leadership out there.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next question. This question is prefaced by thanking you for considering Moreno Valley College. So the question is, could you provide a response to how you will advocate for the unique fiscal and human capital to support career and technical programs at the district level that includes faculty advisory? And how could you help Moreno Valley College become a comprehensive college? So the question states, if you could provide a response as to how you will advocate for the unique fiscal and human capital to support CTE programs at the district level, with including faculty advisory, and how would you help Moreno Valley College become a comprehensive college?
I'm going to take the second part of the question first, if that's okay. So I believe my role in helping MVC become a comprehensive college is by continuing to work with faculty and staff and leadership in order to grow the college, in order to ensure that we have the right programming, in order to make sure that our academic programming is aligning with workforce needs, and continuing to be a champion and a resource for what is needed for our college. And so in the totality of really being able to identify the work that's already happening within all of your integrated planning, master plans, comprehensive plans, equity plans, facilities plans, to really be able to make sure that we're continuing to move all of those plans forward in a very strategic and a very thoughtful way, so that we can build and become a more comprehensive community college. In terms of advocacy for fiscal capital for CTE programs, that advocacy comes and it actually starts here in my ability to be informed, my ability to listen, my ability to understand what the needs are, and my ability to be consultative and collaborative with each and every one of you, so that I am prepared to sit at the table as an advocate for MVC. That advocacy also happens from a form of action. So I would want to also make sure that we are creating the type of energy and impact around our work that shows the value of why we need different allocations around our resources. Working very closely with the CFO at the campus and working very closely with district leadership would be essential to my ability to also advocate for the necessary resources for CTE programming as well as for all programming at the college.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question is, current application fraud is impacting legitimate enrollment. So we're referencing bots. So again, current application fraud is impacting legitimate enrollment, student financial services, and this includes a strain on existing admissions and records resources. This creates an additional barrier for our community and students. So taking this into consideration, the question is, how would you address or approach this issue to help ensure access for our students?
My first approach or strategy to approaching the issue would be to understand the depth of the issue as it occurs here. I've had an opportunity to co-chair teams around application fraud where we looked at the data, we looked at the impact, we worked with student services, we worked across the college in order to put parameters and to put some triggers in place within our software to upgrade our IT initiatives and to make some changes around our infrastructure. So for me to really speak to my approach, I think my approach will start with a level of understanding, a level of understanding the impact, understanding the challenges that's happening at this particular institution, and then working collaboratively with the team, with cabinet, with IT, with the district, in order to identify what is already in place as well across the district that is responding to this. We in higher education has been dealing with, I don't know, application fraud now for the last couple of years. It kind of really surfaced and kind of became a reality towards the tail end of COVID. So I know that there's a lot of things that's already in place. So I would want to approach the issue by ensuring that we have the resources and the supports that we need while looking at other opportunities around best practices and to see how I can be instrumental in informing from my experiences from other places leading this work, if there's some value to kind of sharing what some of those best practices are. And then in doing that, that's really how we then ensure that there's a level of access that's happening for our students so that our applications and our enrollments is not being impacted in a negative way.
Thank you. Okay, so I have two questions and they both revolve around the same subject. So we're going to go ahead and ask them in a two-part question. So this is taken into consideration with the current administration. Federal funds are currently being cut. So keeping that in mind, what measure would you take? And again, two-part, what measure would you take to ensure classified professional jobs are preserved? And what steps can be taken to ensure student support? So in light of federal funds being in jeopardy of being taken away, how can you ensure classified professional jobs are being preserved? And what steps can you take to support students?
considering the political climate that we are all dealing with from the new administration, I think is always at the forefront of all of our minds is how do we protect our students? How do we protect our staff? How do we protect our faculty? How do we ensure the integrity of our academic programs and the work that we need to be able to do is still is still continuing to move forward. One of the things that I think is really important as I think about the question for preserving jobs. In my research, I didn't find anything that would lead me to believe that that we were headed toward a reduction in force or that we were headed toward anything that would be impacting staff. If that were the case, then this is the opportunity to work very closely with the classified Senate, to work very closely with the cabinet leadership, to become very consultative, to really lay out a framework around priorities as it relates to where we are from a budgetary perspective. It's also an opportunity to begin to work differently with our donors, to identify different ways to raise money and to find additional resources so that the preservation of jobs that are key to the success of our students is not impacted while we ride this interesting political wave. Had to remember that I'm being recorded. And so, you know, for me, I can say that I have not had to make difficult decisions around reduction in forces throughout my career. My decision-making always comes from a lens around preservation. It always comes from a lens to identify how do we not impact our faculty, our staff, and our community in the decisions that we make. So for me, part of the preservation is really around sound fiscal management, working with the district, also collaborating with the other presidents in order to see what are some of the strategies and some of the things that's already in place. And so I don't come to you looking to do anything different. I come looking to see how I can complement and how I can enhance the existing work while recognizing that there's already some sound parameters and that there's already a clear commitment to the preservation of all of our employees during this interesting political climate.
Thank you. And yes, we are being recorded. Okay, so on to our next question. Okay, so under your leadership, please tell us about a policy or procedure that you initiated and implemented that you are exceptionally proud of. What would make this experience different from working at a California community college where, as you know, we are very unique here in California? Okay. So a policy or procedure that you initiated and implemented that you are particularly proud of, and how this experience would differ from working here in unique California community college.
The first policy, the one that comes to mind, is the policy that I initiated around, it was our drop for non-payment policy. That policy came out of a conversation that I was having in a student forum, where I asked students to share with me, what is it that I can do to make their experience at the college better? And the students shared with me that if I can help the student figure out how to get registered for class, without being dropped for non-payment. And so when I talked to the student to better understand what the financial need was, I learned that the student had been consistently dropped from their classes for a balance of less than $25. So my first thought was the student must have missed a zero or two, because we do not have a practice or a policy that is allowing us to impact our students in such a way while we are focused on student retention. So when I worked with the financial aid office and I requested the data, I realized that over 60% of our students was being dropped for non-payment every week for balances that was less than 300, I think $325. So I began to work with the team in order to change that policy. And so, when it takes time to change a policy, you have to go through a couple of different steps. We wanted to work with our academic senates and our faculty, and it had to go through our shared governance processes. Recommendation goes to the chancellor, goes to the board, all those things. But we had an immediate need and we had an immediate level of urgency. And so since my assistant wouldn't let me pay for the students' $23 hold, then I had to go and I went out to our donors and I raised some money and contacted our donors and raised enough money not to just reduce and relieve that hold, but I raised enough money to relieve all of the holds of every single student that had a balance of $350 or less. And then we worked to change that policy. But what else happened is when you're doing policy work, then you stumble across other policies that lead to other policies that lead to other procedures. And what resulted is we just ended up doing an entire revamp of financial aid. The next policy change was around how we awarded scholarships for our students. So we were awarding scholarships for our students at week 3 of the term. Let that resonate for a second. So what was happening is students were being dropped because their scholarships were not awarded, because many moons ago, someone put in a procedure that we should wait until the 3rd week to see if the students can really come up with the money. So then we had to work on that policy. And what began to happen is we saw a surge in our retention. We saw a surge in our enrollment. We saw a surge. And we saw that surge because we had the courage to address some historical policies that fell up under, and I'm sure none of you all say this, this is how we've always done it, and this is how it's always has been done. So it fell up under that so that no one dared to touch it. So those are 2 policies. And so understanding the uniqueness of California, I would say that if a decision has to be made that impacts students, that I will continue to advocate, and my process in addressing the work of policy doesn't change when it is at the behest of what is good for students, and if it is creating a negative impact across staff. So within the uniqueness, there may be some other layers. There may be some additional conversations. It may be more components to the process, but I'm willing and committed to navigating through the process in order to inform policy that's going to advance the institution and that's going to be in the best interest of our students.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit here and discuss technology. Okay, so the question is, how do you ensure that technology is up to date, not only in the classroom, but also for employees? So how do you ensure that technology is up to date not only in the classroom, but also for employees. So students and employees alike.
So I guess the first place is to ask, are you all operating on current technology systems and infrastructure? How many people are still like on DOS or something? So, one of the things that is important is to realize that, so I'm not a tech savvy person, but I work with IT. I do have those conversations to ensure that we have the most up-to-date technology and the most up-to-date infrastructure. I want to make sure that I'm aligned with what the district is offering and what the district is providing. I want to make sure that we do have that technology. So for me, it really would be to work with my vice president of business and finance. Where did she go?
Right here.
Yeah. So I would say, do we have the most up-to-date technology? And if not, then what is it that you need from me as the president to help remove those barriers so that we can ensure that those things are in place? Right. So in this case, it's really asking the question, setting a level of accountability, and figuring out how to navigate the resources to make sure that we're able to ensure the technology and the infrastructure. Okay.
Don't go too far, Midge. Okay, we're going to move on to our next question, and now we're going to discuss faculty. Okay. So please share specific strategies you have used to engage and collaborate with faculty. So again, if you can share strategies you have used to engage and collaborate specifically with faculty.
As you know, I've served as a provost, and I've served as a vice president of academic affairs, vice president of academic and student affairs. I share that as a reminder that within the scope of my work, 99% of what I did and was responsible for was my collaboration and my engagement with faculty. And so the way that this has happened for me is it has happened to ensure that there's open communication and dialogue, creating opportunities to share information by one-on-ones and small group conversations and discussion with faculty leadership, ensuring that faculty has a voice at the table in decision-making, honoring and respecting academic senate, and honoring and respecting our shared governance and participatory governance processes, and creating a culture around communication. What I have found is that the more intentional I am around building those relationships, building trust, and being transparent and authentic in my communication has garnered me the greatest amount of success in my ability to build relationships and to collaborate with faculty in order to move institutions forward in an impactful way. So when I think about my Barriers to Student Success initiative when I was in Missouri, that was an initiative that came together from the vision and the commitment of faculty and the work that I was doing with faculty. My PERC promise was a collaboration with faculty and student affairs in order to remove barriers around retention and persistence as it related with our students. I can't think of a time in any initiative, strategy, or area of accomplishment that I have been able to have and move forward in collaboration with my team that did not happen through engagement and collaboration with faculty.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to move on and discuss Hispanic Serving Institutions, also coined as the acronym HSI. So the question is, many presidents
boast HSI status of their college, but actually do little to nothing to advance retention, engagement, or success of Hispanic students. So if you are selected as president, what will you do or what have you done to walk the HSI talk? So again, many presidents boast HSI status, but at times do little to nothing to support these students. What have you done to walk the HSI talk?
I like that. Walk the HSI talk. And so here is how that's looked for me. As chancellor, we were taking a deep dive at the data. And so one of the things that I really enjoy is I really enjoy looking at data, probably more than most people. But what I really like is the ability to really dig beyond the data. We tend to look at the surface of the data, and then we begin to make it say what we want to make it say so that we can feel good about what it is that we're going to say. And maybe you don't do that here, but that has been my experience. So when we look deeper at the data, we realized that we had a population of students, particularly in our online classes, that we were unable to retain. Unable to retain at a tune of 62% of those students was not being successful. Now, of the classes that those students was not being successful in, they were not being successful in English. And of the 62%, 48% of them was not being successful, and 42% of those 48 was Hispanic students. So we realized that we had a language barrier and that we were putting students in online classes without any support. So what we began to do is we began to offer whole programs to our Hispanic students and our Spanish-speaking students. We began to deliver full courses and programs in Spanish. I hired a Spanish-speaking navigator specifically for enrollment, recruitment, outreach of our Hispanic students. And so we began to put those things in place. I partnered with our Hispanic Chamber. I partnered with some of our other community organizations, La Casa, and we began to look at outreach efforts and began to look at how we can have a partnership that continued to support this population of our students. And so as I think about that, we began to see an increase in our retention. And one of the first programs that we launched was our early childhood education program, 100% fully in Spanish, in partnership with two of our university partners. So we were able to not just meet the needs of those students immediately in the classroom, we were able to move them through programs and then connect them into four-year institutions. So that's an example of just some of the areas and some of the things that we were able to identify, that I was able to work with faculty and staff to be able to advance as it related to supporting one specific population group of students.
Thank you. And along the same lines of supporting specific student populations, the question is, how will you support AMOJA or A2 Amend students here at Moreno Valley College?
Those are two programs that are very strong programs and that's very beneficial to the success of our students. So I will continue to support those programs by ensuring that there's the resources that's available, assuring that students can participate in the programming that those particular programs have to offer, working with the Vice President of Student Development to see if there's any opportunities for expansion, any opportunities for more recruitment, and really making the participation in those programs a priority so that we can ensure that those programs are benefiting as many students as possible. So what I can give is I can give my commitment to continued support of those programs.
Okay, we're almost done, and I think that EMT is still in the room, right? Just in case. Okay, so still along the lines of providing student support to specific student populations, if you could please share what actions would you take to ensure our undocumented students and LGBTQIA+ students feel safe here on campus and have access to resources? So how would you ensure these student populations feel safe and have access to resources, specifically given our political climate?
So recently, the chancellor and the district did a resolution that solidified the district and the college's commitment to the safety of our undocumented students. That solidified and reiterated our commitment to ensuring a safe environment, continued resources, and that we're going to continue to advocate for our students in a very robust way. So as the president, ensuring that safety is in line with me continuing to work within the processes and the policies and procedures that's already in place with the district, and continuing my commitment to be in alignment with those things that's already happening. And then in the event that we need to pivot or do something different, then I'll be working with the leadership here at the campus and then working with the district office to ensure that we have a level of safety for our undocumented students so that they can continue to have access. But I thought that resolution, I want to say, I think it came out in February, was a powerful resolution. That was a bold resolution that many community colleges and districts around the nation has not had the courage to stand firm on our commitment to serving our students.
Okay, and I do want to acknowledge that we're at time, but we started 5 minutes late, so we're going to go 5 more minutes. So we do have one final question, and after we ask this question, then we'll give you an opportunity to provide those closing comments. Okay. So at the end of if you are selected as president and you begin to work here, at the end of your term, what would you like your Moreno Valley College legacy to be? And how are you planning on being active here in the community, or possibly would you consider residing here in Moreno Valley? So what would you like your legacy to be at the end of your term? And how will you stay active in our community and possibly reside here as a part of the city in Moreno Valley?
So I'm laughing because yesterday I was actually driving around the community and I kept calling my husband. And every time he called, when he kept calling me, every time he called me, I was like, just give me a second. I'm driving through this community. And my husband said to me, he said, you better hope nobody call the police on you. This strange car just keep slowly driving through all these communities. And so I share that to say that in terms of residency, I am very interested in taking up residency in the community. I think that that's important to be a resident in the community in which you're serving. In terms of being active in the community, outside of me externally working out in the community and connecting with key partners, our key business partners, our chambers, our city mayors, our local and state legislators, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, I would also be looking to identify opportunities for where I can serve on boards. And so I currently serve on economic boards. I currently serve on the Boys and Girls Club. I serve on an organization, Horizon Education Association. So I would be looking to see where my board service in the community can already be. And so 10, 15 years from now, I would want my legacy to be that I was able to make an impact in moving the needle on reducing poverty, creating economic and social mobility for students, moving the institution to a fully realized, comprehensive community college, and expanding the footprint of MVC even deeper across the region. I would want my legacy to be clear of my steadfast commitment to students, my equity lens, and that I am a servant leader that was able to serve internally, externally, and across the region to make a lasting impact.
Closing comments?
That was it. I feel like I kind of like, you asked me a legacy question, I'm like, please, thank you. But let me close just by thanking you for the opportunity to be before you. I hope that as you continue to participate in this very difficult decision, that you will find that the totality and scope of my diverse experience at many community colleges and universities is of value and aligns directly with what it is that you're looking for in your next president. I came here to make your decision very difficult. And to put a little something on your mind. And so I hope that you find that there is alignment with my background and that you're able to see me serving as your next president, just as I am able to see myself serving as your next president. So thank you again for your time, and everyone, if you do nothing else, have a blessed day.
All right. Robertson, Cooper, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for your time. If you can please ensure your rating sheets are turned into one of the facilitators, we definitely appreciate you all being here.
Hey, how are you?